views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we do encourage you to like and share them on Facebook and with your friends. Subscribe to WPSL TV. It's time for the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, and you're just in time because Sue Ellen Sanders is here with a guest.
Welcome to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show, and we're still Zooming, but I'm hoping that they'll let me back in the studio sometime soon, so we can social distance from there. Meanwhile, it's nice to be able to continue to do the radio show by Zoom, and I'm really pleased to have Kenya Reinhold with me today. She is with 4 Kids, and we're going to talk a little bit about some new things that the organization is doing. But before we do, let's go ahead and chat just a little bit about the organization. I love, she said, you look so professional and you have your name tag on.
I do. I had a whole bunch of meetings, but I do have flip-flops on, so.
Okay. Well, I was showing Kenya before we got started. She said she saw the dog kennel in the back of the picture, and I was telling her about our dog who is continuing to eat some things in the house, but I was saying that she's actually done a lot better. But I was picking up things in the house to show Kenya, and I'm gonna miss having that flexibility when we go back to the office. Instead of just telling people, I go, here, look, this is my dining room chair that the dog ate up, or look, this is my dog. We have 2 adopted dogs, and honestly, I really wanted kids. I mean, I do have kids. They're 26 and 27 now.
Okay.
And every time I have Kenya or Ashley Mock or someone who talks about fostering or adoption on the radio show, I want to adopt a kid, and my husband lets me get another dog. So that being said, it's more important to take care of our kids. And we're going to find a little bit more out about 4 Kids. So 4 Kids, Kenya?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and sharing just even some of your personal story of your animals and your family. And animals are really important, especially during these times where people are at home and need comfort and support. So we love our doggies and kitties and all of our pets. I love seeing a lot of our community even sharing kind of like those times at home with family and their pets. So it's okay to love your pets. But yeah, I do want to share a little bit about 4 Kids. You've been on before, but this time I'm just coming here to share with you a little bit about who we are in case people don't know who we are. We are one of your local foster care agencies. That's what we're primarily known for. And we're here in the community. We're propelled by this vision, a home for every child, because we believe that children belong in families. So it is our heart and our mission to recruit and train and license families to open up their homes to children waiting in foster care. So that's what we're primarily known for. And this has been an interesting season for us as a community and really as a nation and a country. During this pandemic, it's been a long season of knowing that there's this crisis out there, but they're unseen. So I appreciate you having me on so we can talk a little bit about that need and what's been happening in our community with our kids during this pandemic, and how important it is to kind of get that message out there to our community that we need them now more than ever to consider opening up their homes, finding ways that they can connect if they can't foster, whether it's through their talents or their treasure, so they can help us do what we do here in the Treasure Coast to help support families and to help children have that hope and that home, but also that healing while they're in foster care.
And as you said, there are a lot of different options, adopting and fostering, but if you're not ready to do that yet, There are ways that everybody can support your programs, either through events or through, as you said, sharing your treasure or your talent. And I've been blessed with getting to meet some of the children whose lives were changed at your annual Galentine for Kids event, where you have, sometimes you have speakers. You always have children that are there that are part of the foster parent program, but I was lucky enough to be at the same table as one of your guest speakers a couple of years ago, who was a young lady who was already on her way to doing great things, but living in a situation where she wasn't secure, and she was adopted by a foster family that was incredible, and so it changed her life forever, but also changed her future.
You know, and it changes our community when we have young people feeling supported and loved and have that sense of belonging. It really flows over into so many other areas in our community that we don't realize. You know, these are children, but they need that. When we were kids, we needed that love and support of family to enter into adulthood, into our careers, into our parenting. So for those children that find that sense of belonging with a foster family or with an adoptive family, that really builds that community and village around that child so that they can be a thriving adult. We want healthy, thriving adults. We want to, we talk about this cycle that we have where children coming into foster care, their parents were in foster care, their grandparents were in foster care, and there's this cycle. But if we can really help build cycle breakers, what we can really do for the trajectory of that child's life and to adulthood, but also our community with really strong, empowered individuals who felt, they have this story of brokenness and pain, but they also have this story that they can be part of rewriting along with a family to help them succeed in the things that they need to do. The dreams that they have dreams just like we do of, being teachers and being doctors and being astronauts and, whatever their dreams are, to help them get there and to do it in a healthy way and in a supportive way that they feel that love from a family, but also a community, how important it feels. I mean, I even know during COVID, when we were told we had to stay at home, like we all missed community. We all missed seeing people. We all missed going into our local restaurants and stores and seeing those familiar faces. So for these children to be seen by that family and by their community and by their church, what that does to the human soul as they move forward into their life as adults.
Well, you mentioned what it does for the children, but there's a whole other side of the story too, for what it does for the families and how it changes the families' lives, the adoptive or foster parent, that it totally illuminates another part of their life that they may not have gotten to experience if it wasn't for fostering or adoption.
You're so right. I mean, fostering, we would never put that bait out there that it's easy. It's hard. But sometimes we're called to do hard things. And when we're called to do hard things, it causes us to kind of step out into the uncomfortable, but then we are challenged, it pushes us to that place of endurance and that perseverance, where we think like, we can do this, we can do these hard things, especially for the sake of another person, and how selfless that is. So it exposes things in us as people, as adults, to think, I am here for these children, but these children are also here for them, to really shift our focus instead of inward to outward. And when we are a people who are more outward thinkers, what that does to us and those around us. And it is very rewarding. A lot of our families would be the first to step up and say, this is hard, but this is the best thing I've ever done for our family, for our biological children. What that, if they adopt, what that looks like for their growing family. And knowing that they have a community to support them in that. that they have businesses that are there cheering them on, that they have churches cheering them on, that 4Kids is here to support them on this journey, that they're not alone in this journey, and that there's this beautiful village. Treasure Coast has an amazing support for foster and adoptive families. Really, not like I've seen really anywhere else. So I think it's a beautiful small town feel where we just feel it empowers individuals to do good, to better our community and better the lives of the families in our community.
And the thing that's great about the Treasure Coast too is the social service agencies and organizations don't compete against each other. They work together. Like they say, oh, well, there's this family that needs this, this, and this. And people get together and say, okay, this organization can provide this, and this organization can help you with that.
We definitely have a great collaborative group of nonprofits, parachurch ministries, and organizations that really work really, really well together. And it just brings us together. It's that sense of community to see that we can work together. Even if we have differences, we can work together for this common good to help a child in crisis, have that security, have that sense of belonging, to feel safe and connected to a family and a community. We can put our differences aside. We're always going to have those things, but when we can put those aside and just say, you know what, we have one goal here, to help these children and families thrive in our community.
How did COVID-19 change the way that you had to operate as an organization? Because everybody changed. Everybody had to pivot. But
P word.
The P word. But tell me a little bit about how you all had to adjust in order to help the children and the families that you help every day.
Yeah, so back in February, towards the end of February, we were all getting that sense that we needed to be prepared. So as an organization, we had to come together. 4Kids is in Broward and Palm Beach counties as well. So Broward, Palm Beach, and Treasure Coast had to get together like a huddle. So there's about 100 of us as employees, and our leadership kind of steering this ship and going, children are not going to be safer at home. And we could kind of sense that that was coming, where the governor was going to say, we're shutting down, everybody's going to be safer at home. And we knew that wasn't the case. That was not going to be the case for many children. And we didn't know how long it was going to be. No. But we knew instantly that we needed to step up our game and we needed to be prepared. And so I think just even leading up to it, we had that sense of preparation. So everything that needed to be put in place to keep 4Kids going, just like a well-oiled wheel, happened. And we didn't skip a beat. There wasn't a day that our services were not being provided. But we did have to, all of us had to start working remotely. So 100 employees working remotely, caring for the most vulnerable children in our community. And so everybody hops on their laptops. Those who are not, skilled with computers and things had to learn real fast.
Yeah.
But we did, right? So we just learned, and we knew everybody else was kind of in that same place with us. So there wasn't that fear of, oh, am I going to get it right? Because we were all in that same place. We're all in the same storm, but maybe in a different boat, because we're like going different directions, but we're all in that same storm. So we really had to rally around. Being an essential work place, we didn't shut down. It just had to look different. And like you used the P word, we had to pivot. We had to think outside the box. We had to be innovative, and we had to really make sure first that our families that we were serving were supported, that they had everything that they needed to keep their homes safe, check on our families, check on the kids, and make sure everybody was stable before we could then stop and say, what can we do now to serve our community? During that time, our therapeutic services kept going, just like everywhere else that offers therapeutic services. We had to do telemedicine, which we still are in that phase. All of our therapists that are on staff are telemedicine, but all of our therapists were checking in with their families. But we also knew that we couldn't keep that to ourselves and hold on to that there were hurting families. People were losing jobs, people were stressed, people had children at home that they had never spent that much time with them. So what could we do as an organization you know, you felt helpless, but you knew you had so much that you could offer, and just kind of reach out open-handed with our community. So we really tried to focus in first on our therapeutic services. We developed very, very well done and produced trauma-informed care training videos, and just started pumping that out on our social media for our community, for our parents, letting those in the community know that if they needed help, that they could reach out to 4Kids and we would be a resource for them. They didn't have to be one of our foster families. They didn't have to be one of our adoptive families, that we were here for all children and all families. So we had to go virtual. You know, all those things that you don't see or project how long you were going to be shut down. But we knew that it was going to be a little while. So we really took that time to invest in our therapeutic services and making sure that those who needed help had access to that help. And our therapists have been nonstop during COVID, reaching out to families and trying to help them understand behaviors in the home, understand their own feelings as parents, you know, seeing things in their children that they never saw before. I mean, families were together for really long periods of time that they probably had not been like that before. And with that added stress and those added pressures, maybe job loss, death, loss, things like that, we wanted to make sure that we were there as an available resource to anybody who needed it. So we hit the social media like most places and just let people know we are here for you. Some of us, like myself, you know, as an essential worker, for me, it wasn't where can't I go, it's where can I go. So those in our community, like you said, our community partners, who's feeding families? I want to go there. I want to support those in our community, other organizations that are doing things to help our community, sustain our community and keep them, really keep them from coming into a crisis situation during a pandemic and having more children come into care. So that's really where we were. I mean, it really just had to change all of our thinking. We had to be adaptable. We had to be innovative. And we just had to be generous with what we had, and be good stewards with what we had and share what we had with others during such a time like we've never seen before, and most of us in our lives.
No, it's very true. And I have to say that the organizations and
Did you unmute there, Sue Ellen? I accidentally muted you.
oh, you muted me?
He muted you.
That the organizations and communities that were doing some type of therapy, when they moved it to Zoom or any type of online therapy, it was a double-edged sword. They were missing the personal connection of being there. There were therapists that I talked to that said that it actually allowed some of the clients to feel more free about communicating.
That's very
things
true.
And so, you know, and I think that we've also found in using all the virtual services that there are going to be things that we're going to move forward with. I know at the Early Alert we found some trainings that are going to work better.
I agree.
In a virtual field. And you know, it's like, oh, we might not have tried that if we hadn't had to live through a pandemic. We did, instead of our family fun fair, we did a drive-through event last week, and we did different stations in the parking lot, and everyone stayed in their car. Yeah, it's always about this time that they start barking. But what I was saying was that people that were involved were so thrilled to see those kids. They were so thrilled to see friendly faces, and the kids were so thrilled. So I think we all have a greater appreciation of being able
Absolutely.
to be
We did a drive-through event as well for back to school. And, you know, we do a big family picnic for back to school. And, you know, we were going back, and, you know, we just talked about it as an organization. And we thought, you know what, we need to see people. Our families need to see people. And, you know, we had the same type of event where we had a drive-through Texas Roadhouse in Port St. Lucie. We're very kind to donate. You know, usually we have a Meals, Calvary Chapel, Port St. Lucie opened up their campus so we could host this drive-through. Emmy's Team Foundation in Martin County provided socks and underwear. We had partners donate backpacks. Calvary's Youth did a car wash. So it was just a real good sense driving through, cheering them on. For these kids that were going back to school, this is very, very different for them. But we wanted them to know that they were going to go back prepared and they were going to go back cheered on. And so that was, you think, is a drive-through really going to work? But just seeing people and seeing their faces, that human interaction and that human connection.
In whatever way you can. And so there's ways to make changes and adapt, and whatever you can do, you do. And then, as I said, you take forward and you may continue to do things in that way. Now, you have some new programs and things that you're going to be talking about, kind of a new initiative. I want to give you plenty of Prime van that comes by this time.
Of course.
And it's Wednesday, so it's Prime
This sounds like a good commercial for Amazon.
It is. So the dogs are always but go ahead and Kenya, let us know a little bit about your new initiative.
Thank you. During COVID, I did want to mention that we didn't stop our foster care parenting classes. So those who are interested in foster care opening homes during a pandemic, so those parents that said yes to foster care during the pandemic, I give them credit. And then during that time, we were in state and country politicians that children have not been safe at home for 7 months. That's just a reality. It's a hard reality to accept, but we knew we needed to be prepared for that surge of children coming into care, still going on right now. If those are interested in taking foster care training classes, we are still doing them virtually. But we also knew that there's really a lot of families out there right now that are hurting, whether it's still health is, I can't imagine what this COVID-19 has done to our community and to individuals in the mental health area. So as an organization, we thought this is serve families in our community. And there was conversations, about in the past about 4Kids, and we're kind of known, they do foster the biological families at all. And as much as we wanted to, we just really weren't prepared to do that or had stepped into that. But during COVID, we decided. So at 4Kids, we are starting a new prevention and preservation initiative. And we are now going to be partnering with our local child welfare agency to identify at-risk families where maybe their children are not in foster care yet, but they're at risk of that being their story. And so we're able to partner with our local, with them to identify needs of families in our community by using a portal system. So we're using Care Portal. And so those agencies and those who work with families can then submit anything from a bed, car seat, to their electric bill paid, what that caseworker can identify as a need that, if that need was met, that really would help it process, if you will. And then what happens after that, and where 4Kids steps in also, is we are partnering with our faith. That request is submitted by your local welfare agencies. That request goes into a portal, and our local churches that we partner with are trained and registered into the same portal as families. So we're seeing, we're kind of this bridge for kids between the child welfare system and the churches.
So Kenya, you had mentioned to me that partly because of the pandemic, but also in moving forward to support your families, and are launching a new initiative. So give us an idea of what that's going to be and how that's going to change the way you are able to support families.
Yeah, so at 4Kids, we're excited. We always celebrate the lives of the children that we've been able to impact over the past 20 years through foster care. And we are primarily known as a foster care agency, but we thought, what more could we do for our community to help with the resources and the tools that we have to help other families? And so during this time of COVID, we realized that we have a lot of hurting families out there, and a lot of families that are struggling, a lot of families that have job loss, that they're struggling with mental health, addiction is on the rise, homelessness is on the rise, and families are just in really crisis situations like we've really never seen before in our lifetimes. And so at 4Kids, we heard that there was this need out there for the faith-based community to partner with their local child welfare system to meet the needs of at-risk families. So what we're doing at 4Kids, this new initiative that we're really excited about, is now a prevention and preservation piece, so that we can identify the needs of families in our community to help keep their families sustained and to thrive, especially during a pandemic, and then really to provide and be a resource to their families in their time of need. And so what that looks like here in the Treasure Coast is we get to partner with Communities Connected for Kids and some of our other child welfare agencies and agencies that work with children and families. So what we're able to do now, we're like this beautiful bridge to where we can train our child welfare agencies on how to submit requests of families that they can identify that have needs, and submit those requests, and then we can put them in this portal. And then we, on the other side of this bridge, 4Kids gets to train and register churches to get set up in this portal. And then we get to be this bridge where they can come together and meet those needs of those families that are identified by a child welfare system. And so the local churches are able to step in and really bring hope to those families in crisis and bring those needs to those families and meet those needs. And sometimes those needs might just be a car seat or a bed. Maybe it's their electric bill. Maybe there's a grandma who has her grandchildren and she doesn't want to see them go into foster care, but she might need backpacks or school uniforms, really anything that this social worker, this caseworker can identify that would really help this family thrive and keep this family unit together. We don't want to see any more children coming into foster care. You know, at 4Kids, we're propelled by this vision, a home for every child. And so that's been foster care for us for over 20 years. And now we've tried to, you know, change our thinking. How can we get into the homes before those children come into foster care and help support those children and families in their time of need in their home and connect them to a community, connect them to businesses, connect them to other organizations and churches to help them meet the needs so that they can really get to a place where they're moving forward and not necessarily becoming dependent on the system, but really teaching them the skills that they need to be a healthy family in our community. And we really believe that if we can get on the prevention side of this crisis, we'll have less children coming into foster care, less trauma, this affects so many things, you know, homelessness, human trafficking, incarceration, so many things that are connected to foster care is ground zero. And so if we can get on the front end of that at 4Kids and partner with our local agencies to help these families in the time of crisis, what that really means down the road, we really don't even know what that impact can mean as far as financially, you know, what that does to our budgets, you know, as a country, as a nation, as a state, as a community, but really what it does to these families to know that in their hardest and their darkest times, that the church was able to come alongside them and help them meet those needs and build relationships. You know, if we can get in and meet that need with a family, whether it's a car seat or maybe tires for mom to get to work so that she can provide for her family, and then we can come alongside and build those relationships. So it's not just meeting this need. It really is for us that longevity and that relationship.
Yeah.
It is relationship. That's what we miss here. This is what a lot of these families who are in crisis are missing, are healthy relationships. They may have some relationships, but we really want to connect them with healthy relationships that they can see that their potential and really preserve their family and keep focusing on that prevention and how we can keep this family sustained, but also see them thrive. You know, when we have somebody that believes in us and we think we can do it, what that really does to the human spirit. So if we can partner them, you know, and this is a vetted, you know, initiative. Our caseworkers are trained to identify the needs of these families, and they're putting in these requests. They're saying, you know what, I think if grandma had this help, we could really keep this family together. If mom really had this service, if dad was able to get to work, maybe dad needs work clothes and he's like, I can't afford work clothes. How's he gonna be able to go get a job? So all of these needs, if we can come together as a community to use our time and our treasure and our talent to help at-risk families, what that really means to the foster care system as a whole down the road and our community as a whole.
Well, to be looking ahead to preventing families from falling apart, from being in crisis, especially now where, you know, you have those United Way, Alice families, the ones who were standing on the fiscal cliff.
Yeah.
And they just needed just a little bit of help from somebody in the community to keep from falling.
Yeah.
And rather than wait till the family fell apart and end up having kids come to you to need placement in for kids, you're looking to help the family stay together.
You
Which is
bet.
awesome. Which is
It
a
it really
best
is
scenario.
life-changing for families, but also for our community.
Because the bottom line is what we want is healthy families.
Too.
And when we're talking about health, we're not just talking about the physical health.
No.
We're talking about the families being in a good place in their mental well-being and in their need, having their needs met. And this initiative can make a difference. So who are some of the organizations that will be able to partner with you on this?
Well, right now we are contracted with Communities Connected for Kids. So right now we're starting with them. We have a trainer. His name is Michael Keene, and he is actually one of our foster adoptive families, and he's now on staff at 4Kids. And he's decided that he's going to take the lead with our Vice President, Tim Putman, and take this lead in training those caseworkers at Communities Connected for Kids on how to input requests and how to identify the needs of the families that they're working with. You know, these caseworkers are working with these families and they believe in these families, but sometimes they're just limited because of lack of resources or lack of funding. And so now here we come to come alongside them and help them identify these needs so that we can then know the needs, put them into a portal. The platform we're using is called Care Portal. And so it's a computer platform. They put in the request. That request then goes into a portal. A church that's registered in that area will get an email alert and they'll see the need. There'll be a compelling story, whether, you know, grandma has 3 of her kids and grandkids and she needs backpacks. It's a wonderful, very organized, very vetted way to meet the needs of families. And so that church has somebody that church or organization has somebody there who gets that email and they decide, are we going to meet this need? And they just hit accept and then they work with the caseworkers. Now we have the church and our child welfare system working together to get those needs to those families, to meet those needs. And like I said, really, we want to take that to the next level after that and build relationships with them because it's not just going to be a one-time fix. Right. It's not just the car seat, but it's a way for us to reach those families and be that bridge to.
So how does the church-based organization or another organization, how do they partner with you and be one of the helpers on the portal for you?
Yeah, they just reach out to 4Kids if they're a local church or a local business. You know, businesses say, maybe I want to do car repair. I want to be that car repair resource. And so we can connect those local businesses to a church in their area that is registered with Care Portal. So there's so many ways to kind of work through this. And the training is really, really great that once there's a church that's identified, we partner with over 70 churches here in the Treasure Coast. So for us, this was a no-brainer. Churches are already doing this. So it was easy for us to reach out to our churches and say, hey, we have this opportunity. We have this great portal system for you now to mobilize your church and get your church into the lives of hurting families to help bring hope and some resources to them. And so our trainer, Michael Keene, you can reach out if you're an interested church. We have about 7 churches registered already and they're ready to go. So as soon as everyone's trained, we're looking at a launch date at the beginning of November to launch Care Portal. So it'll be a big day here in our community seeing church and state working together for a common good. And I know we're just going to see the effects are just going to be a beautiful thing here for our community. We can do this. We have wonderful relationships with Communities Connected for Kids. They do great things, but we can do greater things together. And
absolutely.
We are definitely going to be stronger together and really unite our community to help families that are in need. And so, yeah, so we go in, we're training. My husband and I, we just did a training for our church. So we're registered and we're ready to go, and we're eager to get our church mobilized to meet those needs. And so they just have to reach out to 4Kids. We can get them registered. We're doing our training virtually. Another training that normally would be in person, we're doing it virtually. And so we're going to be creative, and you go through the training and then you're set up. There's no cost for a church to say they want to be a part of this Care Portal initiative, this prevention and preservation initiative. There's no cost for them. And it's just a wonderful way for, individuals to just be big, something bigger than themselves.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it really is.
Together for a common goal.
Yes.
So you mentioned a little bit about businesses being able to be involved with the portal. So let's expand that just a little bit.
Sure.
You're talking about, car repair companies, but also it could be appliance repair or air conditioning repair.
Furniture companies, clothing stores,
Yes.
and really anything is a resource to families. You think of the things that you use in a day in your home, and anything that you do, any service that you do is an opportunity for you to do good in your community. And so for somebody to step forward and say, I really like to use my business, I really like to do this, we can then get them set up in our portal, in this Care Portal. And so when those needs come up in their community, we can connect them to that church. That church would say, hey, you know what? Cotton Automotive is interested in doing car repair. We just got a request that somebody needs, their oils changed or their brakes done. And so that church can then reach out to that business partner and say, hey, are you interested in helping meet this need? We want to do this together. Maybe you can, do it at cost, or maybe you're willing to donate that service, or maybe the church can use their benevolence to pay that business at a lower cost. Some way that we can work together to make this work really, really well. And I think we have at 4Kids, we have a lot of really good relationships with businesses and community partners. So for us, we're really excited here because it's almost like we already went through basic training. We have all the pieces in place, and now we just get to do it. And we get to mobilize our community. We get to mobilize our church, and we get to see everybody coming together and rallying around family. So the stories that come out of this are just going to be amazing. I'm confident in this initiative that we're going to just see such good come from this, not just in those families, but as a community as a whole.
If people want to follow along with this initiative and find out how it's moving forward or be a part of it, you have a website that they can go to contact you?
Yeah, you can go
ahead.
Straight to our 4Kids website. You can go to www.4kids, that's the number 4, KIDS, Treasure Coast spelled out, .org, and we have all of our contact information on there. So there's ways to foster, there's ways to volunteer, all of our events, all of our therapeutic videos that we created for our community, and all of the information you need to contact us to get connected and partner with us.
That's awesome to know that it's that easy just to reach out and contact you. But you also have very active social media, and a lot of the messages that you give to the community about what people need, not just what you need as an organization to support adoptive and foster care, but also what your families need. And when I talk about your families, there's the families that have already adopted and foster, and now you have a whole other group of families that you're serving that you're keeping them from being in a crisis situation.
Right. We want to serve the whole family, and that's where we are. We are all about family. And so when we recognize this need for prevention, and that this crisis, we couldn't add to the crisis. So we have this need to support families that are at risk, and then we have need to support foster families, and we have this need to support our adoptive family. So it's an honor to serve all those families and to be a part of their story and a part of their journey. Every family has a story, and to step into their lives and really look outside ourselves to see how we can serve somebody else in our community it's a blessing to us. It's definitely, you know, we talk about how much it benefits them, but it really does, like you shared in the beginning, it really does something for our soul to know that we can do good for others. And we're called to do that at 4Kids. That's what we're propelled by, that vision. And I think Sue Ellen is frozen. But we are. You know, I definitely can share that we have about 80 families that we serve through foster care and adoption. And so we have events coming up right now. I can talk about Christmas. You know, COVID's been a big bummer. So we had somebody whispered something about we might not be able to do Christmas for our families like we always do. And you know, that wasn't okay. So Christmas is not canceled for 4Kids in the Treasure Coast or Broward or Palm Beach. And so we're excited that we're still going to be able to do an in-person Christmas party. And so that's going to be wonderful. It's going to look a little different. You know, we had to be, you know, use social distancing and the best practices to make sure everybody is healthy and safe. But we are definitely still on for Christmas. So if you're interested in collecting toys or gift cards or volunteering for our Christmas party, or sponsoring our Christmas event, we want to end 2020 on a big bang, because we have an opportunity that Christmas is going to be memorable. And it's a time where we can really rejoice and enjoy for what we have. You know, there's so much loss in our community. So to really celebrate what we have and the sense of community that we have for our families, it's going to be a great time. So if you're interested in helping with Christmas, reach out to me at 772-206-0835, and there's a way for everybody to get involved.
I can post that phone number on the credits in the video.
That'd be great.
That'll be good. And
yeah, that'd be great.
Sue Ellen is probably rebooting. Rebooting
Okay.
sometimes cures everything.
Oh, I think you're almost done.
Well, we still have a few more minutes. We can
go
a good another 5 minutes. Is there anything else that you wanted to let everybody know about 4?
One more thing. So we were sharing that we have Christmas coming up, and then we're really looking forward to the new year. 2020, we want to put a lot of it behind us, but so we're looking forward to 2021. And one of our special events that we do every year, Sue Ellen was talking about, was our all women's event. Sorry guys, but maybe this year you could hop on, we'll see. We do our all women's event called Galentine's Day. And this event is a time where, you know, women come together to support the women that are foster moms, but also the girls we serve in our foster homes and our adoptive homes. And it's just a fun time. This year is going to be virtual, so there's really some cool and exciting things that we have planned to get everybody connected so they don't feel like, you know, too far away from the event. We want to do some watch parties. We want some businesses to get involved, maybe host some lunches. And so it's going to be a great time. We're going to have some great leadership training. And this is just a great way we have sponsorships available. Like every year, we have had some great sponsors in the past. And this is really to help our girls. We want to empower them. We want them to know that they can do great things, and they have dreams. They want to be something. They want to be somebody. And we want them to know that we celebrate them. So it's a wonderful, fun time.
Are you actually going to do these live things on Facebook?
Well, this event that's going to be in February, this will be, they have to register. So we're going to do a registration. It's a registered event, but it's going to be fun. They'll probably have Zoom links, and we'll be able to send everybody out those links for simulcast. And it's going to be in Broward, Palm Beach, and Treasure Coast. So we're just going to make it as big as possible. We don't want to be limited. But we have an opportunity with Zoom to reach more people. So we're kind of looking at it that way. You know, usually we have 100 people that can fit in a room for lunch. Now we can reach everybody.
Absolutely. And folks, when it comes to things like Zoom, you're at the mercy of the bandwidth of your neighborhood. Sometimes a reboot will fix everything. And well, I guess Sue Ellen kind of got rebooted out of their bandwidth situation. However, we do have a show to put up. And you've been listening to the Sue Ellen Sanders Show with our guest, Kenya Reinhart, 4Kids.
Thank you, Sue Ellen.
Thank you, Sue Ellen, for getting the show off to such a great start. And thank you, Kenya, for being with us.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, this is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the top of the Treasure Coast on Google Home. Alexa, and the TuneIn app for your smartphone.